Do you manually check in guests for your events, then need someone to consolidate all of that data and input it back into Excel? Save time by digitally checking your guests in. All of your check-ins can be updated in real time with no need for manual data entry after your event. I'll cover how to get your Excel data into your SharePoint list. I will also show you how you can access your list on any mobile device with the Microsoft Lists app. This way, you can have multiple people check in your guests at once, making for a better check-in experience. Timestamps are included below. Feel free to skip ahead. If you're interested in learning how to scrap the paper, keep watching. For this event, I'm going to use a form to collect RSVPs. You'll want to choose a platform that will allow you to export the RSVPs in CSV or XLS format. This form is very simple and will collect the first name, last name, number of guests, email address, and food allergies. In SharePoint, I'll create a new list that will hold the data I've collected from my RSVP form. I'm going to rename my title column to full name. We can use a simple formula in Excel to combine the first and last name columns to give us the full name. I'll use a single line text field for the first name, last name, email address, and food allergies. To ensure you don't have duplicate guests in your list, you can turn on Enforce Unique Values for the email address field. What this means is that SharePoint will not allow you to enter a new item to the list that contains an email address that already exists in your list. To enforce unique values on any column, click on it, then click Column Settings, and click on Edit. Click on More Options, click on the toggle to enforce unique values. Press Save to save your changes. I'll use a number field for the number of guests. I'll set the decimal place to 0. For this hypothetical event, I'd like to be able to assign my guests to tables. I'll need to add a column to my list for that. Although you can use a single line of text or number column, I'm going to use a choice column. I'll also need a column for the check-in status. I'll use a choice column for that as well. I'll set the default value to Not Checked In. I'm going to cover the easiest way to get your data from a CSV or Excel file into SharePoint. The easiest way to get your data from here to here is by copying and pasting it. I've opened my CSV export in Excel. I need to add a column in my spreadsheet that will concatenate the first and last name column to give us the full name. Before you copy and paste, make sure that the column order in your SharePoint list matches the column order in your Excel file. You can easily rearrange your SharePoint list columns by clicking and dragging. I'm going to select my data in Excel and copy it. In my SharePoint list, I'll click Edit in Grid View. This view allows me to enter data exactly how I would in a spreadsheet. When you're in Edit Grid View mode, sometimes when you try to paste the data into your list, nothing happens. First, try to paste again. Sometimes that works. If that doesn't work, I find that it helps to select another cell and then select the first cell in the blank row and then try again. While you're in the Edit in Grid View mode, you can make changes to your data. Press Exit Grid View mode to save your changes. Speaking of views, I'd like to create a few views. Click on the View menu and click Edit Current View. I'm going to scroll down to the Group By section and select Number of Guests. With this view, it makes it easy to see how many guests are coming alone and how many guests are bringing a +1. This view also makes it easy to assign guests to tables. As I select an item from the list, a count is displayed here. I can quickly assign these guests to a table by clicking the info icon. This will open the details pane. I'll select a table number and press Save. Now that some of the guests in my list have been assigned to a table, I want to create a view that will group my list by table number. I'll create a new view. Click on the View menu and click Edit Current View. Scroll down to the Group By section and group by table number. I'm also going to group by number of guests. The last thing I want to do for this view is to add a total count of guests per table number. Click the Number of Guests column. Click on Totals. There are many options for displaying totals in a column. For this example, I'll select Sum. This will make it easy for me to see whether or not I'm over or under my guest count per table. Since I've chosen to also group my list by number of guests, this sum is for the total number of single guests. This one is for the total number of guests bringing a +1. And this last one is the total number of guests at this table. For the last view, I'm going to create a view that makes it easy for me to check my guests in. I'm going to hide the full name column, the email address, and food allergies. I only want to see the first, last name, number of guests, table, and check-in status. This way, I can sort this alphabetically by last name. And I'm going to save my changes. For this view, I want to also filter by guests who are not checked in. Once a guest has been checked in, they won't appear on this list. You can access your SharePoint list on any device. This check-in workflow can happen in real time with no need for data entry after the event. The best part of doing it through a SharePoint list is that you can also see who has checked someone in. Right-click on an item and select Version History. I can also make live updates to the list if I need to. Maybe this person only came by themselves. I can easily change this to 1. That change is also tracked in the version history. On your mobile device, you can download the Microsoft Lists app. This way, you can have multiple people check in your guests at once, making for a better check-in experience. The Microsoft Lists app can be a bit clunky on a mobile device. I'm working on a tutorial that will show you how to create a Power App to check your guests in. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching!